in IPPD, you have to scan all of them with the list of the board. So if the name was Oscar Sang, number 5, in the list of the board, correct? You cannot give a name to Honorable, maybe Honorable Salve as an employee who was recruited. No, because you will have to scan those documents. That is the good taste of IPPD.
Okay. Now, there is a question as...
Okay, Chair, I think Mr. Sang, the 3 letters, one was signing by the former CS, then the other one was signed by Emily Mosoni, the other one was signing by B in the board, and the other one, there were 4 letters. For one individual, signed by different people.
One was signed by
Emily Jonathan Soy, Emily Mosoni, B from the board, Peter P, and the other one, Sige, the former HR director. There were 4. So, Sige was a director, Emily Mosoni, assistant director, Jonathan Soy was the CS. Don't you see anomalies there? Just explain those scenarios.
Because you mentioned that you are acting as a conveyor.
Yes.
Because you are acting as a conveyor, why different conveyors on the same person? What is this message that you are just conveying, which was not conveyed by the first person?
Thank you, Chair. That is very unfortunate, and we have come a long way as HR officers there, those who served before us and those who continue to serve. And we've agreed that these officers are supposed to be trained, because you, as a HR officer, you cannot sign and you are not appointing authority. That is why, during that confusion, I'm told there was challenges who was in charge, the rest, and they also staff didn't know what per se are their signature conveying. The moment they know that they are not appointing authority, they will understand they have just been marked to draft letters, correct? Because the head of public service is the one which controls all this process, because it started from there. So it's unfortunate, and it happened. We cannot say we cannot own it. It happened. But we have seen trained staff in HR to make sure that they understand their role properly. And also, once now the issue of CS, they have started negotiating and understanding, and also convincing the board, because also they have a right to make the process which they made decision is taken all the way successfully without being affected. Once the office of the CS convinced the board that that issue which happened in ECD will no longer happen again, things now will flow.
Yeah, we understand you, but what is the solution now for a person who has received 4 letters conveying different messages signed by different officers?
Thank you, Chair.
Among the 4 letters, which one is genuine? Because these people, they need to borrow loan, maybe they need to use these particular letters that you have just conveyed to them, and you will find that maybe bank cannot actually accept.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chair, CS now can answer that one so that he can put to rest.
Chair, Honorable Chair members, if it's an ECD teacher, I believe recruitment was done last year, 2020, and the appointment was done by the board. So the letter that is valid is the one by the CEO of Public Service. Yeah, when they took over that responsibility. But if the exercise was done before, the conveyance of message was done by the CS, and could have used the HR can be the one drafting the letter. Yeah, but since the teachers were confirmed in 2020, it's a public service board that appointed. The CEO was the one writing the letter. Thank you.
We need also the HR person to explain to these honorable members of HADO committee the following issues. I have the payslip, and I will not tell you who is he. No. I will not tell you who is he. Basic salary. Basic salary, we have 23,300 in bracket. But when you just go to the far end, right hand side, it's talking about 0.00. When you also go to rental house allowance, they are saying 3,200. When you go to the far end, they are talking about 0.00. And then they talk about special salary. At the far end, they are saying 13,830. And then commuter allowances, they are also saying 4,000. 4,000 in bracket. The far end is reading 00. And then you just go total earnings is 13,830, meaning they are only reflecting the 13,830, which you now hear, it has a name called special salary. Can you be able now to explain to us what is it? If somebody is actually being paid 13,000, and we have a lot of special salaries that's 13, we have commuter is 3,000, and you also have commuter allowances is 4,000.
Chair, thank you so much, and honorable members. Before the CS give a final issue on this, this I can confirm is one of our staff serving the scheme of service of ECD. This one I can confirm. And most likely is entitled to certificate level. So Chair, let me go back to history. The ECD assistant have got no scheme of service. No scheme of service for career progression and base structure. And when I came on board, there was a file that when the recruitment of these personnel were initiated, there was a challenge to know at what entry level are supposed to enter. Because for each scheme of service, there is an entry level and now you grow. So because the county government wanted the services of these staff, the recruitment was initiated. When the recruitment was initiated, the advisory was sought to the Council of Governors to advise on at what job group an ECD assistant is entering when you want to regularize them, to appoint them on a permanent or a fixed contract. And then when I read the file, the county government was given a leeway to develop a temporary structure for these staff because they needed them. So the cabinet, through that the office of the CS, initiated a process and it was discussed in the cabinet. And the pronouncement of the cabinet is that they be paid temporarily in accordance with qualification they have. And they categorize them into three base structure. The one which has certificate, the one which has diploma, and the one which has degree. Those are the only banding which was given to this staff. But the normal banding growth for a cadre is almost 11. They start from A all the way to somewhere RB level. So this cadre was queued to only three bandings based on qualifications they have. And the cabinet decided temporarily be paid. If you are a certificate, you pay this amount. You cannot go for diploma, this amount and this amount. Now, when it came to now processing their last pay in IPPD, there was challenge. Because the normal structure of an officer cadre starts from job group B, all the way to Q or R. Correct? And each particular job group is attached to certain amount. Now, these are now officers who have been given only 3 bandings. Certificate, this one. And they have gone, the cabinet decided to determine the amount again. Had they determined the amount against the job group, it could have been very easy. So if the cabinet say certificate may be 13, and maybe that 13, there is no relevant job group in IPPD, it became challenges for those who are there to finalize recruitment cycle all the way to IPPD. That was a challenge. Because already the process had already been initiated. If the advice then to the government was, let us keep these officers first job groups, which are there in IPPD with the right amount. But the pay was determined first. So when we came in, we tried, because they were already there, they wanted salary. It was a big number. And remember, our aim was to close the other payroll. We wanted to remain at 1. So we are saying you payroll in at week 1 to 10, which is more flexible. What is the best way of making sure these get paid temporarily? So the system assigned certain job group, and it was put in bracket, which is not their own job group, because their own job group should be turning to the scheme of service, which is already there. Correct? So they keep them a certain job group in bracket with the right pay, which was determined by the cabinet then. That is where the challenge, we got that challenge when we want to process them, the first pay when they are regularized to IPPD. Thank you.
Tumeelewa.
Asante boss.
Lakini waje niwaulize, the ECD staff, they have their union. Have you ever explained to them this issue for them to understand? Because quite a number of things are talking about, they are complaining because they are seeing 23,000 plus 3,200 plus 4,000. So they are expecting to earn 27,000 shillings.
Let me take you back a little bit about this issue of scheme of service for teachers. And with due respect to our Committee for Education with the Assembly, which we have given them a number of responses on the same, the scheme of service for ECD assistants is in the Senate. It was developed by the Council of Governors, Ministry of Education and Science and Technology, TSC, Union. But way back, I think 2014, there was a huge budgetary implication if it's supposed to be implemented. And that is why it is still in the Senate. So awaiting maybe budgetary allocation and maybe the further direction. Now, the Union of Teachers raised the issue over a number of years after including SRC. So in 2018, or there about 2019, SRC wrote to the Union through the Council of Governors, we were given a copy, that since the scheme of service is still not concluded, each public service board for the county to come up with their own internal interim scheme of service, depending on the resources they have. That is why if you could compare counties, they pay their teachers differently. As a county, we sat down, our Department of Education, Public Service, CS office, we did a bit of benchmarking in counties. Some of our neighboring counties were paying them less than what were being paid them. They were paying 9,600 for the degree and 9,200 for the diploma and certificate. So we sat down and compared with other counties and realized that we can come up with our own internal scheme as we wait for the main scheme to be implemented. And we set a cap of, for certificate holders, slightly above minimum wage for workers, 13,830. For diploma, 16,700. For degree, 21,000, depending on the budget that we had then. Now, we used this one, and teachers were employed and placed on these skills. The challenge came, as the director said, when it came to putting them on the IPPD system. And that is why these issues are coming. We have explained to our union leaders on the same, because I think the payslip issue could not come early. But with us, yes, at the Department of Education, we knew this was done. We were calling for the conclusion of their scheme. Once their scheme is out, they'll move like any other stuff.
I think up to there we are okay, but if you have a copy of SRC,
let me add something.
You can get us the copy.
Chair.
Yes, and then
we have been engaging with these people. Our main challenge is one. I think you would have used the other payslip, the other payroll, generate for ECDs only, because you will not convince them in any forum that their salary is not job group G. In any forum, because they look at and say, what is this in bracket? And you know, people who have suffered so long are saying now, when you look at them now, most of them do not earn over 4,000 shillings. I've seen their pay slips. Because they have engaged in SACCO. There is one I took to the office, Mr. Sir. Did you get that one? Yeah, and then you don't bring them their salaries down when the mistake is not theirs. You are adding you are stepping on a wound. So it is very hard to confuse them. One, for them not to understand this is that you have the county government are paying enforcement officers who have gone to miss for 3 months and they have got a D+. How much do they pay them? 33,000. You have brought an award administrator, sub-award administrator, who has not done any course with a D+, and pay him 33,000. Yeah? And then, and so many other needy. How do these teachers feel? Yeah. I'm saying you are stepping on a wound. When you pay these people have not gone to school. Others have got degrees. Others have got masters. And you want to pay them 21,000 while somebody who has never gone to school. These people are unskilled labor. These ones are unskilled. So we must be able to see how we can be able to solve this wound. Because convincing them that they don't earn 23, they will never agree.
I think,
okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Alafu nitakupatia, there are some issues that we need not to go into. But let's stick to what we have, what is actually before us. Because if we got now to say maybe this teacher is earning this one is earning this, you can even take for example, policemen are being recruited, maybe they are D+, and their salaries are almost 33,000 or 40,000, and you have a graduate teacher here starting with 37,000. So it depends on the kind of the work that, yeah. So let us not go into those details. You will also find a graduate officer earning 50,000, yet he or she is a D+, and you will also get a graduate with masters in a secondary school earning 40,000. So let us not go to that particular field. Okay, over to you, Honorable Member from Merigi.
Okay, thank you. I just want to send this question directly to HR, who is the director. According to me, there is that guy who was employed in the Gandhi government, and then finally, I think he was He was suspended. I don't know the reason why he was suspended, and then he was not given even a single warning letter. And then
You mean a girl or a boy?
A guy. To say a
guy.
Let's say a man.
A guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then I've come to HR several times asking for the same, and then I don't know how far have you reached, because he's still at home. He was not given any warning letter. He has been complaining, and then maybe he was not. He was there during the last regime. So I don't know where you have reached with the same. Thank you.
Chair. So that I can answer all of them. Thank you, Chair. CS, there were officers who were appointed, I think, last year around July. That is a Director of Public Works. We have a superintending engineer. We have an electoral engineer. Since then, their salaries have not been affected, or they have not received their salary. Are you aware of that? And if you are aware, what could be the reason?
Through the chair, so that you can answer all kindly. Officer from the HR, I know most of the electorates or most of the staff in your county are the youth, right? And then how do the people without the letters, especially the youth or the young people, access to loan? Or how can they access to salary advance? Because you are aware that most of them are youth or young people with the kids. Can you explain to us?
Maybe also, so that you can close that chapter of payments and whatever. And my question goes to the county secretary. Are you aware that a number of casual workers, a number of them, they have just gone for 9 months without pay? Casual workers, 9 months without pay. Others are 6 months without pay. Others are 4 months without pay. And if you're aware, when are they going to be paid?
Thank you, Chair and members. Let me respond to the question asked by Mheshimiwa from Merigi about the staff who was recruited in the first administration, and he has been having issues up and down. I want to report that this issue is being looked at under County Human Resource Advisory Committee. Actually, the last week, we wanted more information from the department. Just in summary, this staff was serving under the office of the Deputy Governor then. And he was a permanent staff. When there was change of administration, he just went home. He didn't know what to do. That's according to the information we have. He just went and stayed. He thought people were leaving. After some time, he could not earn. His salary was stopped because he was not on duty. I think he came and explained himself in HR. He was reinstated, which I believe the process was not correct, but he was reinstated. He went back home again to stay. Yeah. When there was an exercise of head count and marking those who come to work. In 2018, it was discovered also that he was not on duty, and his salary was stopped. So he raised the issue. We have now placed him under disciplinary procedure and find out, actually from him, we are giving him a chance to appear and explain why he was not on duty. But from what he's saying is that he did not know what to do. And he just left like that because that office changed persons. The occupants changed. So, change of guard. So, Chair, this issue is in fact, he's supposed to appear before the HR MAC in the next week, I think. And then we recommend to the board that they take action.
Is when somebody is on maybe someone has been suspended, or when someone gets suspended, it's my own opinion and thinking that such a person should be on half pay.
In fact, it's on half pay.
So are the said suspended people on half pay? Are they on half pay?
I don't know, because what I'm asking, maybe I can call him so that we can find more information.
You don't know?
But he's not in half pay up to this time. So
So
and then the most important thing, Honorable Chair, is to give warning. Maybe when somebody is out of duty,
kindly remember,
warning letters.
kindly remember, go and ask whether that person is on half pay or what, because the law is very clear on our side that we are not dealing with disciplinary action. Yeah. So there is a body which is actually dealing with it. Ours is oversight, which you have also done. You have just asked a question on his behalf, so you are playing your role. So I think yours also is to get back to this committee and tell us about the said persons. I think by tomorrow, so that we can include in our report. And maybe finally, because we are running short of time, any other questions that we shall be having, we are going to ask our technical team to write to you so that you respond. But there are some other responses that I need you to respond.
There was some other question.
Yeah. Oh, there's other questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Let me respond to the one for casual workers. We are aware that they have not been paid since February. This issue came up, I think, 3 weeks ago, and I managed to ask the CEOs of those departments, particularly urban planning, and he told me that their budget was exhausted. I don't know what happened to their budget for casual.
Oh, CEO.
Yeah, because these are domiciles in the departments. The casuals are in the departments.
Yes.
So they are planning to pay them when the system, this budget is operationalized.
Bwana CS, have you communicated with them when they are just employing or engaging these casual workers? You mean you want to tell us that they don't know about their budget to an extent that they can allow people to render service right from February to date, knowing within their knowledge they know that they don't have the budget? And you know these people have been engaged by the county government to render service to the county government. They also have children. They need to feed their children. And how this CEO up and planning, have you written a letter to him over the same?
Chair, normally what is normally very common is delay only, but not when there is no budget. Because as far as I'm concerned, they are supposed to budget and ensure that that budget is fully utilized by the end of the financial year. There's a time I was acting CEO of urban planning. The only issue I encountered was delay, but not completely the budget is. So the report that I got is that they are using this current budget to pay those areas. So we have communicated to them to act on that.
Okay, members, I think your question has not been answered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or I repeat the question.
Or was it the one that you are asking that they are supposed to appear before the committee for disciplinary action?
No, Chair. There are 4 questions. One question was for the staff.
Yes.
And then the second question was for the officers employed in public works, which I'm leaving director to answer. The other one was for the youth, access to loans and all that. He's asking, the director is answering. I answered number 1 and 4 for casuals and for the staff in HRMAC.
But I've asked the staff right away that he is not receiving even single cent after 2 or 1.5 years.
Member.
Let me clarify, Chair.
No,
when
because of time, Just go and find out. Communicate with the member. Because that's a question which is actually outside the mandate of this committee. But you only allow because it touches on our people.
It's a brief response, Chair.
Yeah.
When the issue came to HR Mark, which I'm chairing, we said that there's information from the department is being sought, we should get half pay. That was in May, June. I think we have not received money for June. But his half pay has been restated. So the timing. Yeah.
Okay. HR, briefly, because we are running short of time.
Thank you, Chair. Briefly, I go straight to the question of youth and our youth staff access to credit opportunities. We have a welfare section in HR, and we have always introduced staff to our third parties. We don't have issue, regardless of the terms collapse. We introduce them, saying we pay them salaries. So they have been enjoying. And our staff, we have shared the banks for SACCOs as they are required. So if it's for Marisha SACCO, there's a staff who introduce that officer so that they can enjoy credit. We don't discriminate in terms of service. Thank you, Chair. Another issue is staff employed in the Department of Roads, Public Works and Transport. There was Director Works, Director Roads, and there was a superintendent, but appointment was transport manager. We have since sorted the personal number for one of the staff, Director Works or Director Roads, because you were once a serving officer. When you were once a serving officer, you use the same number you had. So it only took time for us to activate in Nairobi so that he can enter the payroll. But since by June I have sorted and I informed the Director Works. I have also sorted Director Roads. The only challenge was transport manager, where there was no schemes and that title is not in IPPD. But through the office of the CS, we've tried to tell the board to regularize the job title properly and then the job group properly, so that when we come to paying the structure in IPPD, it will go through. But the officers, once that process is almost complete, the officers will be paid from the date it reported to the duty. So Chair, we are very sorry. It was also a procedural issue, which had we done from the beginning correctly, it would have taken some few months in their paid salary. For Director Works, Director Roads, I have sorted them. So there's only one remaining, and soon we'll sort and we'll pay from the date the officer reported on duty. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I think those are the questions outside the mandate of this committee, but it's also good to ask such questions. HR person, we also need this information by tomorrow. We don't want to answer today. There are some staffs in this county who are on payroll, yet they don't have letters from either HR or County Public Service Board. Number two, there are these people, staffs, ECD staffs, they need to go for loan. So there is a problem that bank does not respect the letters that you gave them, appointment letters. So you can consult with the union for further information. Maybe one thing which I just want to ask HR, and when it comes to staff establishment, as per the list that you gave us, if you can have a look, the administration department, we have 11 directors and 9 assistant directors. I don't know whether you call them assistant directors or deputy directors. Is the staff establishment silent on that? Because I'm also very surprised to see one department having 11 directors. What are they directing in this one particular department?
Okay, Chair, and the members and the secretariat. Yes, there was problems in some titles which had not been established in the current approved staff establishment, but the job groups they selected in the pay structure was different. And henceforth, with the current proposed establishment, which already has gone to the board, that issue has been sorted. So the challenge was that we were using two payrolls. The other one, you can select a right job group, right pay structure, but different title. Different title. Because one, in the current approved establishment, there are some positions which are not there. But those which are not there, in the approved, the current approved, the one we are using, which has just been reviewed to provide for those positions. So it can be true, especially if it's a printout from the other old payroll. It can be true because they were selecting a job title, but the correct job group.
Excuse me.
Yes.
When you talk about proposed establishment,
Yes.
staff establishment,
Yes.
who approves it?
It goes to the board to be given authorized level, but sometimes it can come to assembly for last approval.
Do you have the proposed staff establishment?
Yes.
Can you get us the copy of that?
I will, sir.
And also you are talking about different directors given different titles. Don't you think it's a waste of public resources?
Now,
When somebody is actually a director and maybe is in job group B,
yes.
quite a number of them, job group Q, job group R, and they have no work to do.
Yes.
They are not rendering service to this county. Don't you think that we are doing a disservice to the people of Bomet?
Chair, we will, once this approved establishment is approved, the one proposed, that issue will be issue of the past, because they just wanted that title, but the job group remained the same. Correct? So the job group, if you see the job group, it is the same. The pay is the same. That title was misusing because it had not been reorganized in the scheme of service. So the current one, I will give you the copy.
Excuse me,
yes.
HR. You are the holder of the office,
Yes.
and you are telling us now they are misusing. Are they the one misusing, or your office is misusing?
So what we
Who is misusing now?
Chair, what I am saying.
Well, are you members? Are you?
Yes,
Or am I asking wrong questions?
you correct.
Who is this person misusing?
Let the CS clarify further from this level.
Chair, I think the way I would have responded to a question is, Department of Administration, Executive and Public Service is the largest, with many directorates. That's why we have many in proposed establishment. They have proposed very many directors. You have sections like disaster, who must be is a directorate. You have CDG, we have HR, we have executive, we have this one for drugs and what. So it doesn't mean they are supposed to be filled, but officers in those sections can rise if they qualify. A proposed establishment which is kind of a...
Mr. CS,
yes.
We understand you, but there is a problem here. When you talk about a proposed staff establishment, that has not been approved by Public Service Board, neither has been approved by the County Assembly. So it means the kind of proposed staff establishment you have already started implementing before its approval.
No. This is the position, Chair. I think we recommend that it came from the department and they worked with HR, so that because there's harmony between this establishment and the scheme of service. Then it came to CHR MAC. We discussed as members of HR MAC and we gave recommendations. So it is in the board currently. It's in the board, they also together and comes this way. So it is actually work in progress.
Okay, members, last question from the honorable member here, because already We are late by 18 minutes. So over.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe the last question to you, whoever will answer. I want only the procedure of secondment. Then I will ask maybe another question. Once you gave us the procedure of seconding a person from the national to the county, just tell us.
Thank you, CS. Secondment is one of the functions in public service, and there is a procedure in practice. And the procedure in practice is that when a department, the authorized officers, wants to, let me use the word borrow for this purpose, a staff, simply because the authorized officer is not supposed to recruit, to initiate recruitment. He feels that if the recruitment process will not give the right skills, knowledge, he can opt to request an officer from existing commissions, correct? For this purpose, you've asked me about the national government, which is Public Service Commission, correct? So it is the same way as recruitment procedure, transfer of service procedure, transition procedure. So the authorized officer initiates and thinks that I don't want to initiate the process of recruitment, correct? Maybe because it was not responsive, or he knows I may not net from the job market. So he gets an experience round from commissions. So the authorized officer initiates the process to the office of the head of public service. Then there is a vacancy in fisheries, and I want to fill it through secondment. So the office of the head of public service now agree that if they agree they are not recruiting, and the recruiting agent of the county government is the board. If they want to borrow another recruitment agent or a commission, police service commission, all those commissions, the office of the head of public service, they can identify an officer. They can identify, or they request that commission to identify an officer specifying the skills they want to that commission. That is the user. So when the commissions, now, if it is public service commission, gets the letter from the office of the CS, which is the head of public service, he process now, he identified that officer, he writes back, the CEO writes back. If it was a specific request, he processed the secondment using the secondment guidelines, where the officer is domiciled, he belongs to the commission. Correct? If it is identification, he writes back to the head of public service. So once the head of public service agrees, he talks with the authorized officer that we have identified an officer, whether given by commission or identified by them, correct? They now process the secondment by giving him an offer, correct? Now they have to consult as a county public service and process. Now, the procedure and the guidelines of secondment depends where the officer belongs to. If the officer belongs to county governments, correct, where the assembly is included, the procedure belongs to county assembly board, where if that belongs to here. If the officer belongs to the county public service board, and maybe he wants to second back to assembly, the procedure belongs to that board. All staff belong to board for the security purpose, correct? So the effective procedure you will have to follow depends on where that officer belongs to. Because for the purpose of public service commission, where I'm affected because I'm under secondment, correct? The guidelines to follow to process secondment belongs to public service commission. Because that is where the recruitment records are there, payroll are there, all those things records are there. Correct? Now, the user who is being donated. Because the rights and entitlement of that officer is written there in that guidelines. So once it's arrived and the officer takes an offer and agrees between the period, now it is the Office of the Aid of Public Service in consultation with the board. Now that an officer has arrived, during the annual returns to the board, because the board manages the staff of executive, returns. When the Office of Public Service is giving returns on recruitment with financial year, or resignations, on transfer of service, all those things, he also has to keep the report to the board. Say, during this period, we didn't go to recruitment, but we requested for secondment. Giving them an update of all the processes of HR which has been done throughout the financial year. That we have done, we opted for secondment, we didn't opt for recruitment. If an officer under secondment is processed through another appointing authority, it is the contradicting of another appointing authority. Correct?
Okay, maybe.
Correct. So
Director,
that is okay?
let's be very clear.
Yes.
You could have said only the user department requests maybe Public Service Commission, the staff comes. You wanted only the simple procedure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So because you have explained, so does it mean all the officers, assuming now we want to second one to the county to Bomet from maybe national?
Correct.
As the board has to approve all those secondment, the county public service board, if the user is the executive.
That one I may not answer property now, because it depends on the arrangement now the county public service, entire public service has been doing it. They can notify at the beginning, but some counties notify them when they are making returns. And remember, when we don't know for secondment, they said it transfer of service, which is another thing again, correct? So it depends on how the counties have been practiced. Some notify the board at the beginning because they agree that we are not going for recruitment, we are going for secondment. Also, of course, the board would have been involved in one way or another one. So the nitty-gritty of how the Office of the Aid of Public Service and the board do, maybe informally or formally, they can do it. But as far as what the practice is, they also are supposed to not within that recruitment, like what was financial.
Okay, I think fair enough. But the head of public service is the CS, yes, and the chairman of the board. If they don't consult on secondment, will it arise any issue? Or it will be deemed if the head of public service, who is the CS, has done his request, will it be deemed it has been seconded and the board is not aware? Or whichever, vice versa, if the chairman was not to advertise the position and is not notifying the head of public service, is there any conflict in between?
I may not know, because those are our officers. It is very difficult to know whether they consult, but ideally, any communication should be written. So
okay.
It's very difficult to know whether the...
So specifically?
Yeah, thank you.
Because you have some letters here of secondment requesting for a nature director, because you are not to recruit but to second by the head of public service. Then again a letter that the board is not aware of that secondment. Then do you think it is a conflict? Because the Public Service Commission has agreed to second a person. And here comes a letter from the board and say, you have not approved that secondment. Do you think there is a conflict between the head of public service and the board, the county public service board? Just explain where, or assuming we want to second somebody, we have identified. Do we identify it as a user and request and say, we have identified Martin in fisheries, can you second to us to work at county in fisheries department? Or we say only we are lacking somebody in fisheries, can we look for somebody who can assist us?
As Chair, as I've already enumerated from the word call, when you are doing a plan from each financial year, 2000 aspect you'll have to input into your plan. So, and when they are doing this plan, the users are aware in these meetings that for this skill, maybe for survey, we cannot get in the market. We are going for secondment. So once all these things documented from the beginning, it will be very difficult for in the middle, for the head of any agency or the head of any department in the government to say I was not consulted. It's very difficult for us when we are tukiwa chini watu wa mkono. So wakiwa juu, if they consulted, it's very difficult for us to know. But ideally that they should.
Okay. Now assuming it has been seconded, will he come with a job group and continue, or is there some things to be done within the board, the head of public service, maybe to promote or demote, or he will come to the job group he was in when the secondment was requested?
You want me to answer that one? Or this? Yes. Let me answer from the practice.
I think the CS should have answered.
Let me answer from the practice, and then also
then the CS.
That whoever is initiating the process of secondment must draft very clearly the kind of skills the officer wants, all those descriptions. Because remember, that is not a recruitment process. For sure it's not. So whoever is initiating on behalf of the authorized officer now, which is the head of public service, that is why the act was very clear who's to coordinate outside a service. It is the office of the CS. Correct? So he coordinates properly with the authorized, where the officer will be domiciled. They have to work together. Which kind of qualities, what kind of officer do you want? Because you want to write to a commission. So it depends now, those officers, whether they capture the spirit and the content of the authorized officer and the number of period used to utilize that officer. So now it's very difficult from my point of view, whether it was done or not, but that is only what is the practice all over.
Maybe this, yes? You have something?
Chair, I think the consultation is very key. And the director has put it very clearly that all concerned officers with secondment should work together. And that issue maybe is better placed answered by the public service, which they were raising an issue. They are better placed in giving a proper answer there. Now, the issue of the job group, I think as we request, as the user request for the officer, the position that is there is in a particular job group. And I believe by writing to the commission, they should be able to inform them that we need an officer of this cadre. So they come and fill like that. I believe there should be some proper communication about the position and job group and who is required, skills and all that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, maybe finally, is there a situation where you request a person, but internally we have that for whatever reason? I might have a director of fisheries, but there's a person who is assistant director of fisheries, which it was only to be promoted and then become the director. Before going the whole hawk of requesting the secondment, can it happen in a situation where you could have promoted somebody and then we leave out the secondment? Because the whole hawk of recruitment can be very difficult. Can it arise?
I think, Chair, before you request for secondment, you do needs analysis. You should have looked at the staff you have. And if the recruitment process is taking long, in fact, secondment means you need that skill, that particular one. So I believe somebody should do needs assessment and check the staff that they have. before requesting for the comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, members. I think maybe because we are running out of time, maybe we can request to finish up, or if anybody has a burning question. So fair enough. So maybe you are free to, because you have another meeting here. So CS and Director, you are free to stay or to leave at your own pleasure.
Thank you, Chair.
Or we can give you 1 minute to say a word.
Yeah, let me thank this committee through the Chair for the time they have given us to make this presentation. We are committed to cooperate together in case of anything that you need, any documentation we'll provide. I remember the Chair had requested for some 1 or 2 documents that we do not have here. We'll provide them. So thank you so much, Chair. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Chair. God bless you. I'm privileged.
Thank you.